with another video. So, of course, everybody has already been looking around the sports fire, and of course, the NFL playoffs still happening. The Buffalo Bills have fired Coach Sean McDermott after 9 seasons and end up promoting their GM, Brandon Beane. He led the Bills to the playoffs in 8 of his 9 seasons in charge, going from 2017 all the way to 2025, 2026. McDermott has been fired as head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Team announced Monday. The 51-year-old McDermott was hired in 2017 and led the Bills to 5 AFC East titles, 8 playoff appearances in 9 seasons, while McDermott will exit the franchise, and general manager Brandon Beane got a promotion and will now be the president of football operations. He'll lead the search for a new coach. Now, when I heard this news, that just made me sick to my stomach because Brandon Beane was in charge while Sean McDermott is the head. And if you're gonna fire a coach like Sean McDermott, why not fire Brand? Why not just get rid of Brandon Beane too? Like, why do you need to just let these head coaches go and not also look at the GM? Because the GM has a responsibility of picking the roster and the staff and going over it with not only the head coach but the COO and the rest of the Bills front office and personnel. And looking at the personnel, why not just get rid of the GM? Because it seems like Brandon Beane this year did not know what the personnel that your franchise quarterback Josh Allen needs, and did not hold his quarterback accountable for his poor play in the postseason, mainly in this game against the Broncos. This past weekend divisional round on Saturday. So why not just let Brandon Beane go along with Sean McDermott? Why just the head coach? I don't understand that move at all. But I get, the NFL is a business. They want to try to keep guys aligned, but I just thought that just made no sense. But anyways, while McDermott will exit the franchise, general manager Brandon Beane got a promotion. Now be the president of football operations. He'll lead the search for a new coach. Sean has done an admirable job of leading our football team for the past 9 seasons, owner Terry Pagula said in a statement. But I feel we are in need of a new structure and new leadership to give this organization the best opportunity to take our team to the next level. Despite regular season success, 7 straight double-digit win seasons, it was a lack of success in the playoffs that led to the Bills making a change. McDermott's Bills went 8-8 in the postseason, including a pair of losses in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The most recent loss came against the Denver Broncos in the divisional round of the playoffs on Saturday. The Bills couldn't overcome a controversial interception and pass interference penalty in setting up yet another heartbreaking postseason loss. McDermott released a statement on Monday afternoon expressing his appreciation for the Bills organization and fans. The community has graciously embraced not only me but my family, and in some ways help us raise our children over the last 9 years. For that, I say thank you to all of the teachers, coaches, and friends who we met along the way. The city of good neighbors. We love you. We will miss Buffalo. We love you. We will miss Buffalo Bills Mafia. You are 101. A classy statement from Sean McDermott following his surprising exit from the Buffalo Bills. Under McDermott, the Bills featured a perennial top 5 offense led by quarterback Josh Allen and a top 10 defense. Yet the dominance on both sides of the ball could not help them reach the Super Bowl. Prior to being hired by the Buffalo Bills, McDermott served as a defensive coordinator. Of course, we all know served as a defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers for 2011 to 2016 and was a defensive coach with the Philadelphia Eagles from 2001 to 2010. Now, my thoughts about Sean McDermott's firing is pretty much looking like why only this move? I think this move was pretty much in desperation mode, and in desperation mode to pretty much offshore a coaching acumen, to look at their acumen. And if you're looking at the only goal is just not only to reach the Super Bowl and win it, there's a lot of head coaches you can let go in this offseason. There's a lot of head coaches you can go that has not reached the custom of a Super Bowl. This is already the 10th head coach from this 2025-26 season, which will lead into the offseason that has not only been released and gone, but they continue to recycle and reshuffle the deck. So I don't understand what kind of move and decision that the Bills were making. Now, granted, McDermott's defenses over the past few years have been the cause of why the Bills have not really been as successful, along with their poor play from Josh Allen, being in 2021-22 against the Cincinnati Bengals, and they still hold on to the divisional round game against the Chiefs 4 years ago. With that being said, with what happened to them, and they went a back and forth game, and they had to change the rules in overtime because the Bills did not get a possession, and Josh Allen did not get a chance to hold the ball in possession after the fact in overtime. So they changed the rules and made it sort of like college. Whoever gets the ball, each team has a possession of the ball. Whoever gets it last after one of the two teams fails, they score and they win the game. So that's why they changed the rules. They changed the rules because the Bills did not have a chance to possess the ball and really in overtime in that divisional round game, after it was tied 35 apiece, to end up getting another possession on their own to really find a way to score. And the fact that they didn't do it, the league and the corporate office after that next half of the season went into the league office, and corporation had discussed some new rules and new policies, along with changing up the kickoff, and said, we might as well just go with some different overtime rules, and we might have go with each team having, a new clock, a new possession, and everything, because we don't want to be held responsible for these teams not each having a possession. So that's what pretty much what became the case. But Sean McDermott was not the reason why the Buffalo Bills lost the game against the Broncos on Saturday. The reason why they lost that game was because of your star quarterback Josh Allen. And Josh Allen has had top-level receivers. He's had Stephon Diggs. He's had Gabe Davis. He still had Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid at the tight end positions. He's had top-level receivers for quite a long time. And the fact that he hasn't won with those guys. Oh, and I didn't even mention he picked up the guy who pretty much caused the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl in McCole Hardman. So you couldn't do that. No, your quarterback, Josh Allen, is the NFL version of what I've always considered a choke artist, and James Harden. When the chips come, when the crunch time comes late in the fourth quarter, when you're asking your star player to get the job done, he does not get the job done when it counts the most. And that is a thing where, Diamond Marie, hey, what's going on? Captain Carp 8484, hey, what's going on? And Chandler Prouds, hey, what's going on? But yeah, your quarterback is the NFL version of James Harden. He chokes when it matters the most, and when it's asked of him to carry your team, to put the team on your back, and make smart decisions with the football, not underthrowing guys by like 5 to 7, 8 yards, not underthrowing guys like he did to Khalil Shakir, which could have been a touchdown, which really could have ended the game against the Broncos because they really should have won that game. But then you ask of him what he did against the Jaguars, which, if you really think about it, they could have lost to the Jaguars because they ran for dang near close to 150 yards. The problem was Trevor Lawrence not being in those big moments and an ineptitude to play. So that's pretty much why the Jags lost that game. But Josh Allen's poor decision making in that postseason, and before we get to late down the stretch, is why. And he's had 7 years of these underperforming games. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, he had 2 interceptions, and it could have been a fumble loss against the Bengals. In a snowy conditions, you're supposed to perform better in those Orchard Park snowy condition weather in Buffalo because you're kind of used to that. I would have thought it. I would have imagined that, but it seems like he's not. And then Brandon Beane, you're the GM. Why in the world did you not go get a top-level receiver like a Jaden Waddle? Why didn't you go get Stephon Diggs back? I'm not saying Stephon Diggs will probably return because he's having success with the Patriots. But even in the offseason, before he even went to the Patriots, why not make an offer to him? Why didn't you want to keep him? Now, granted, he kind of exposed how Josh Allen is, how he's not all that, which I can understand that, and I can agree to a certain extent that he isn't. But at the end of the day, it's like you could have worked some things out to keep that in tune and keep that in line, and you didn't do that. And it's just sad to see a good coach, a good coordinator like Sean McDermott, and a good level head coach be ostracized for the quarterbacks in that play and your star players in that play who's supposed to be who's pretty much your franchise player, like who's your franchise quarterback. Why are you having such an inept play? And I'm so sick of the media trying to put this guy as one of the top, level Buffalo Bills quarterbacks when, especially not forgetting about the fact that you had the Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly went to 4 straight Super Bowls in a row. And then you had Doug Flutie, who came in years later after that. The problem was with them Bills why they was losing because of their coaching, because of Wade Phillips. Taking him out the game, Flutie out the game, and putting Johnson, I believe, Rob Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. But like, it's just those kind of things. It's just those are the reasons why the Bills has always been a notion about nobody has that swagger. Well, that swagger, that magic that you thought they had at that time, they just never had it. It just always has gone away. And another reason why the Bills have been lack of success in the postseason or even getting there since the 90s and even, getting into from the early 2000s to 2016, because not only of poor coaching, poor roster construction, but not only that, poor management in the GM and the front office. So those are the things of what kept Josh. And I'm so sick of the media too, always trying to be a scapegoat and protecting this guy. Is matter of way, I forgot to mention. Oh, Captain Carp. I got the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, but yeah, I'm so sick of the media trying to make this guy Josh Allen to be a scapegoat and having them to say, oh well, it's not all his fault. Like the Dan Orlovskis, the Ryan Clarks of the world, the Rex Ryans of the world, all these people, Stephen A. Smith, all these people want to try to find a scapegoat to protect Josh Allen. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, when it comes to Joe Burrow, when it comes to so on and so forth, even C.J. Stroud, which I criticized immensely in that loss against the Patriots, poor play, but they want to criticize them and make them like they're the bad guys. Like, oh, they're the bad quarterbacks. They don't have great vision or eye level. They don't read the game. But then, it's made rumors that Lamar Jackson doesn't work hard and watch film or study film in the locker room, which is just ridiculous. I see him and I see other black quarterbacks with like pads and notepads and going over notes and issues and going over play callings with the coaching staff on why certain plays in the offense is not working. But you don't see that. I don't see that a whole lot in Josh Allen. I don't see him going out and game planning film and working on his game. I just don't see that. I just don't see it. And the top of the matter, I don't see Josh Allen really focusing enough to really communicate and connect down the field and really work on the type of routes and the type of routes in the middle of the field and up the seams with even sometimes his tight ends. Because like I said, in that game, he missed a lot of throws. A lot of easy throws, a lot of good taking shots down the field throws to Brandon Cooks twice, to Khalil Shakir, and the overthrow to Dalton Kincaid, which really would have ended the game. And also why they don't make Bo Nix a scapegoat, because Bo Nix led his team in the fourth quarter after the Bills went up by 4, led him down the field in a comeback to take the lead. So I'm trying to figure out why you don't make it a scapegoat. And literally, if it wasn't, and had a broken bone fracture in his ankle, which he didn't even feel it until once they went to the locker room, until like a couple plays in overtime, and then once they went to the locker room, because nobody didn't know until Sean Payton gave the report. But like I said, they don't make none of these guys the scapegoat. But they want to make the Josh Allens, they want to make the Justin Herberts, the Trevor Lawrence, and all these guys. They don't make Dak Prescott a scapegoat. They say Dak is, not in and not fit for them. And they'll defend Tony Romo as well. You know what I mean? They'll defend a lot of these white quarterbacks, and they'll put guys like Dak and Jalen Hurts and the rest of them down in their own boatload as a way of just saying, unless if you are the safe black man, or you're like the safe person, like the person we can protect you. You're not making no noise, you're not slandering, or you're not having no like any kind of slanderous takes. Yeah, we're gonna defend you. We're gonna defend you at any given cost. We're gonna defend you at any given cost. So, in my opinion, I just feel like with Sean McDermott, he's gonna find another coaching job at some point as a defensive coordinator. I can see that being the case. But at the end of the day, you letting guys like him go, but then you get John Harbaugh, who gets a coaching job in the Meadowlands to play for the New York Giants. Then you get Kevin Stefanski hired as a coach for the Atlanta Falcons, which nobody wanted. No Giants fans was thinking about, oh, let's go get John Harbaugh. And definitely Atlanta Falcons fans were saying, let's go get Kevin Stefanski. If anything, why get Kevin Stefanski when you could have just kept Raheem Morris? But, like I said, the NFL just loves to recycle head coaches. And they've done this for the past 10 to 12 years. Like, they just well, even longer than that. But they just know how to recycle coaches and get them in spots and positions. Now it's an open candidacy of who can replace Sean McDermott at the end of the day. And let me see if I can pull that up real quick. All right, so here are 5 potential replacements for the Bills to replace Sean McDermott. It includes Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator currently, and Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator for the LA Rams. Pretty much just talking about the history. Yeah, they was talking about McDermott. Yeah, he was 98 and 50 in his 9 years with the Buffalo Bills. Of course, with their last year's MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. Their offense was ranked tops in the best since 2020, and their defense points per game allowed since 2020 was 19.5. So yeah, number one for the replacement for the Bills coaching for the head coaching position is Joe Brady. Number 2 is Chris Shula. Number 3 is Clint Kubiak, the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. And the turnaround that he's had with Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and also Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Jesse Minter, the LA Chargers defensive coordinator, at number 4. And then number 5 is John Gruden. I haven't heard John Gruden's name mentioned in quite some time. So I'll just say more about that. So yeah, of course, 2001, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made the controversial decision to fire Tony Dungy and trade for Oakland Raiders coach John Gruden. Dungy had put together 3 straight winning seasons, which included the NFC Championship appearance. But the Bucs knew that they weren't reaching the ceiling. Sure enough, Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl in John Gruden's first season, but now finds itself in a similar situation. But won't need to trade that draft capital to acquire John Gruden, as Gruden owns a 117 and 112 record as a head coach over 15 seasons, and most recently served as a consultant for the Saints in 2023, following his 4-year stint as a lead man in Las Vegas. While this is a potential for a matchup, it remains unlikely. Now, all of these coaches Who do you guys think is one of the top candidates in these 5 coaches that I just named to be the main one for the Buffalo Bills? Let me know down in the comment section. Is it John Gruden, Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Chris Shula, or Joe Brady? Which one do you think is the top one? For me, like I said, I think you could possibly go with Joe Brady, and you could pick up Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator. That could work. But you need somebody, to me, that really brings something to help out Josh Allen. Like, you need somebody to get in his grill and really call him out on his BS play out there in order for him to really wake up and start to protect the football better and to start making better decisions and come through in the clutch. You need somebody to really get in his grill. You know, maybe a Brian Dable, a John Gruden style coach could possibly work. Maybe Bill Belichick could possibly work. You never know. But you need somebody that can really get in his grill and really call him out for just inept plays. And in my opinion, that could be definite, and that could be something that's worthwhile. So that's what you're gonna need, and you're gonna need somebody that actually knows the offensive personnel and really gets out of this predictable play calling in years prior in the past. So I think probably the best option could be Joe Brady, and Brian Dable could be offensive coordinator. But we'll see how that goes. You know, we'll see how this goes for them at the end of the day, because there's so much to look at. There's so much that's gonna have to go through in the off season. Will the roster be the same construction wise? You know, I could possibly see a couple of guys on the offensive side of the ball go, but I'll break that down when the off season comes and when the end of these playoffs come. But all right, guys, I'll get on out of here. I gotta make a couple more videos, and I'll let you know about the NBA season and what I think about a couple of teams in particular, and who I think might have a possibility of going to the NBA Finals when that time is there, and the All-Star break too. So I will be covering that more when that happens. But all right, I'm out. Peace.